What's up, y'all? LTJ Reads is here. This is Throwing Light. And if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. I'm super excited to have Master Taíno on here, who is going to be one of our IML 47 judges. How are you doing, Master Taíno?
I am doing very well. I am currently at home, and Saturday I will go back to Costa Rica, my second home.
Where's your second home?
Costa Rica,
Okay, Costa Rica.
in
And you're
Central
in,
America.
and you're outside DC right now, correct?
Yes, I am in Virginia, right off the Beltway in the DC area.
Right on, right on. All right, well, let's get started. So, Master Taino, tell me a little bit about how you entered into the leather community and what got you involved to start with.
Okay, well, the way I explain this, I have been kinky all my life because,
Yes,
as
sir.
I said in my book, I remember the stories when I was a child, everything that called my attention. But I am originally from Puerto Rico, so in the 60s in Puerto Rico, there was nothing. Even it was difficult to be gay or to be out as a gay person. But I begin to explore with basics. I have a little bag with some ropes and clothespins and candles and beach paddles, whatever I could find to play. But I didn't know anything, just imagination, common sense, and that I have a good one. But 40 years ago, at the end of 1983, I moved to DC. Uh, and obviously, my first attraction was DC Eagle. And that's where I begin. At the beginning, as an outsider, it was, as happened to many people, it was intimidating to be in a bar with people in leather and you don't know what to do.
Right.
But eventually, I was invited to a club, and that was the Defenders Levi Club. And immediately after I begin to taste the community, I know I like BDSM, so I reach out to the BDSM club, only to find out that I didn't know shit. So I asked to the president of the club to, you're going to teach me. And that's the way I get my first school. And then I begin to participate in the leather community, going to events, etc. Um, and in Sigma, our BDSM club, I begin to be active to the extreme that a few years later, I rented the house that hosted the first dungeon for Sigma on my name because the club didn't have any, and that means I had a key, as many as some other special members who pay a membership fee to have the key and use the dungeon. And having fun day and night there is when I found that I needed something else, and I didn't know what it was. Um, and and I, I always say dominoes fall very lucky for me, fall very fast. A couple of weeks later, in the Lambda Rising bookstore, I found Ties That Bind from Guy Baldwin. And the
Okay.
first two chapters were master slave relationship. And I started reading there, and it was like, oh my God, this is what I'm looking for. And I like the way this guy, I didn't know Guy at the time. Uh, um, I like the way
I'm sorry, when you say God, you mean the leather coach?
Guy Baldwin, no, Guy Baldwin from LA.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, I got you.
International Mr. Leather 79 or 89.
Okay. I'm sorry, I got confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, when I went to Folsom, because I was already attending Folsom in San Francisco, I was invited to a mass meeting. And whoa, that opened 30 gay men talking about protocols and relationships, and all that was gone into my head. And I asked Master Rick, who was in charge of the chapter at the time, how you do this. And it's story short, the people in the of mass in Atlanta at the time, there was about 5 chapters. And and then talking with them to try to create a chapter in DC, I find out that they were planning an event in the spring of 1999, solely for masters and slave, educational, no BDSM, with just relationship. And the person in charge of the curriculum of classes was Guy Baldwin, the author of the book. So I said, I need to go there. And that weekend, 26 years ago, I was born. Master Taíno was born. That's where I found who I was within the community. Leather is a journey, and you come evolving until you find exactly where you belong. And then I came home, I founded my chapter, and then all the other things that I have done emerged.
So, and okay, so you said, did you say you came from Puerto Rico or Costa Rica?
I am from Puerto Rico.
Okay,
I
okay.
live in Costa Rica.
Got you. I got him swapped. I'm so sorry. Okay.
A lot
All
of
right.
people confuse that.
So what I do want to touch on, and I want to go back to that, back to Puerto Rico here for a second, and coming here. Um, do you feel like in our current climate right now that maybe we're kind of regressing back to having certain spaces?
I, I'm not sure I understood.
So, all right, so kind of like going back at a time that you know what it's like not to have any exposure to any of these cultures. So when you came to America, it was kind of like would you say like kind of like a kid in a candy shop? There's lots to offer, right? So,
Yes.
do you feel that we are still offering this, the same amount of access to our community as we were then, or do you think our access, giving people access to the community, has dwindled down some?
I think it has evolved, has changed. Definitely. The first thing is, I remember when I came here, the leather bar, the Eagles, and other names across the nation and in Europe or wherever I did go, that was the place that we meet people. That's not anymore. The bars don't exist in DC. Now they are creating one new one, but it's not the same. Never have been the same. And uh, so it had changed, and the internet changed a lot of that. And that is an effect of the new generations that they are and even that I am not against the internet because I use it. And at this stage of my life, it's much better to meet people in one of the apps than going out at night that I don't feel with the energy of doing those things. But for the young people, I think it's affecting in their interaction with people. We used to go to the bar, we saw a new face, we saw somebody we were attracted, we job and talk with them, etc. Even I've been talking with a friend the other day about how the consent rule has even changed. Now everything is very careful. You cannot touch, you cannot do, you cannot say. And I remember in the 90s in the Eagles, just being in the bar, it was a consent.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, you always, if you're not interested, you could say, and we respect that. But literally, those times in the bar, people were there to meet people. And for example, the boys will love when a dominant reach out to them, and the greeting maybe was touching them grabbing them by the neck or whatever. We were very direct on that thing. Nowadays, I don't go to bars, but I don't think that those things can be done.
So well, like there is, the way I feel, the way we handle consent here, I feel like in my community here in Austin is just asking for permission, and we are I guess the spaces are getting a little bit more complex where it's hard to say who's there for what. And we don't use the hanky code like that was really prevalent back then, so you don't know what people's interests are so easily. Man, that's a good point. It's almost like kind of being conservative in a sense, and not being, is it that we're not proud to show this anymore? When it comes to, flashing our kinks, we do it amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Are we doing it when we go out leisurely?
I don't know. I remember we didn't have to ask somebody, oh, can I talk with you or nothing like that. But when you made eye contact with somebody, you already knew that person was interested.
Right.
I remember with my floggers and my handcuff walking towards one boy and the boy running around. That means he doesn't want to mess with me. But we don't have to talk. It was natural. It was just the flow of things, and I love that. Obviously, I respect what we're trying to do now because yes, at the same time, I have seen way too many abuses in our community. I was talking with a friend recently, and I told him, I never forget when this dominant that you were with 30 years ago was screaming at you and he slapped your face at the eagle. That guy lost my respect right away. So those things did happen, and they were in a relationship, but I never tolerate any kind of abuse.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of your family, starting your own leather family, and this is you have your crest on right now on your
Yep, right there in my
that's your yeah. So and coming to build a leather family, and do you have a lot of master slave relationships?
I have had a bunch of master slave relationship. Yeah.
So, in terms of building your leather family dynamic, like what was important to you? What kind of community did you want to foster within your
Well,
family?
I always tell people we bring to our dynamic, to our leather, to our relationship where we come from. And I come from big families. And also, one of the things I discovered in Puerto Rico was that I was poly.
Okay.
I had a beautiful boy when I was 27, and he was like 21 just out of college. And I realized that we go to the bars, we go to a restaurant, and I was looking to everybody else. And I say, we don't have a problem in our relationship. We care for each other. We love each other. Why I'm looking to everybody else? And that's how I realized I'm poly. There's no problem with him. It's with me. I want different relationships. So when I joined the community, I always thought about having multiple slaves. And I did. There was a time I had four at the time living here with me. But that evolved. That evolved. At the beginning, my family was me and my slaves. And when I really get into the master slave relationship more and create the master slave conference, etc., um, and in our community in MS is pansexual, I begin to meet people from all over the place, and that's when the way what happened was there was this young man, dominant, who was in a class of mine in New Jersey that resonated with him where he was at that time. He came to me to talk after the conference, and we went to a restaurant. We talked for a couple of hours. I invited to the academy, to the conference, become his mentor, but he was straight. And that's what I questioned myself. I said, wait a minute, this is a guy I would love to to have this dynamic, not any sexual. It is to be part of a family, and that's how I opened my family to people who were not just a boys or a slave of mine. And now I have 18 members, and we have lost several to death. And they are all over the place. They're gay, they're straight, they're non-binary, they're woman, they are everybody, and we are family.
That was going to be my question. I have so many questions. Okay, I'm very interested. This is actually the first time we've had a poly conversation on this show. This is episode like 93 or something like that. I want to go back to that. You say your leather family is pansexual, correct? Okay. And you're polysexual. How you have non-sexual and sexual relationships.
Yes.
How do you know what that's going to be like when you're engaging someone? How do you know what direction to go in?
Number one, for example, my slave of 15 years who lived with me here in Virginia, from day one when he came to me back in 2010, I know he was a slave. He has been in the event, and he wanted to serve me, but honestly, he was not my cup of tea. I mean, physically, age-wise, etc., it was not. but I knew who was a slave. So I tell him right at the beginning, I'm willing to consider you, but this is not going to be a sexual relationship. And we have been together for 15 years. That's the longest relationship I ever have had. And I have had in the past a slave with sex and a slave with, and the same happened with straight folks. I am a gay man, but in BDSM, I'm pansexual. I just wrote a book last year called Kinky Tales, who are really stories of my journey. And I wrote things were interesting, different, etc. And then I put them in order. I write them as they come to my mind. Then I put in order of 38, and I sent it to the publisher. When he sent it to me to check, and one night I have to read the whole book, is when I realized how many stories in my book were with straight guys, and all were different. Sometimes dominant who want to learn from me. Sometimes they were straight who wanted sexual thing, or others just flogging, because flogging has been my big expertise. That's what my reputation. And not only flogging, what I do is cathartic flogging, which is a little bit different. But I in BDSM I could play with whoever. Inclusively, one time I have for 1 year a slave girl from New York in service to me, and we played, we did flogging, we did spanking, we didn't have sex.
Yeah. So you're mentoring your non-sexual, you're mentoring both though, but how are you mentoring them differently? Are you mentoring them the same way?
It's the thing, the mentoring itself is, there's two things here. The mentoring is teaching, telling, and hearing feedback. I got straight guys that I mentor in Costa Rica. I mentor many, and that they come to ask me when they have conflict with their girlfriends or the subs, etc. So all that is verbal. But there are some of them who I teach them the BDSM, gay or straight or female, whatever. And for example, in my cathartic flogging, everybody come and ask me for that. Male, female, dominant, subs, trans. It doesn't care. I connect with people. I don't, sexually, yes, I am a gay man. That doesn't change. But in my evolution, I have been able to connect with everybody that I connect. There's some people I don't connect. The people who ask me things and I don't feel I could give advice, I could give, but there are two things in the mentoring. One is helping them in their journey, and the other thing is teaching them or experience or having them experience BDSM.
So, what is interesting is that you're able to get this range. I haven't talked, this is wonderful stuff. It's just, you're very fascinating to me, and especially the wealth experience and the diversity of your life. Your book, Kinky Tales, how many tales are in there? I have not read it yet. I want to read it now.
It's going to be available in IML. Very few copies, but Barking Leather will have it in IML.
So you're going to have copies at IML?
Yes.
Okay. There are now. We're going to go to IML in a second because there are IML contestants that are going to be watching this interview. But I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, Barking Leather from Atlanta will be selling them in their booth, but they're going to be. I don't know how many copies they right now have 6. I'm shipping now like 6 with my leathers to my former slave in Chicago, so I don't have to carry my leathers to Costa Rica. But it's possible that I will bring some books from Costa Rica.
Awesome. That's good for everybody.
That will be 15, 20 books max.
Tell us a little bit more about what we will get out of Kinky Tales.
They are 38 stories, and they are all different. They are funny stories, they are erotic stories, they are very serious story. I make the story of my slave Tommy who died of AIDS in 2001. I make the story of Sir Greg, who competed in IML, who was part of my family, who competed in IML, I think was in 2014, and he died a year later. And I helped him. That was a very powerful story. how with my floggers I help him to overcome shit that he has since he was a child, who is what I do as a flogger. There are many stories about flogging. Um, the order of the book is start with kinky childhood, telling the stories as a child, to leather grandpa, who is how that was the title that they give me in Costa Rica. I'm the leather grandpa now, and I think that's exactly where I am in my journey now, being the grandpa, helping everybody I can, all my grandchildren. Um, but they are all kind of, there is a story of my slave. There is stories of different encounters. Um, uh, there is one very short and very erotic that I always loved because it was going to IML. I think it was 2000. We were in my van. I was with my slave and another boy from California. When the boy from California started driving, I drove until Pittsburgh, and he took the flank, and then I went back to it was a conversion van that I had, and we went in the back to begin to fuck. And we got to stop because we got into the toll booth. So after we paid the toll, we continue. So we continue fucking and get into Ohio. At that time, sodomy was illegal. So the title of the story is Interstate Sodomy.
Wow. Okay.
Because I started in Pennsylvania and we finish in Ohio.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so it seems like me you're a healer, essentially. You're a healer. You heal people.
Yes, yeah. I have a quote that I live by and I preach. There is nothing more rewarding for a human being than to be able to make a difference, big or small, in another human being. And that is what the universe has allowed me to do from with my mentoring, with my floggers, to make difference in other people's life. And obviously there are people that I am in relationship or I have been friends for years that I have been able to help. But very often I found people that may have met 10 years ago, that were in the academy, who have been in the conference, who come to give me thanks because they were in my class or something I did help them in their journey. And that's music to my ears every time it happens. Yes. I have used the BDSM to heal people, to help people. It's more than erotic. It's for me it's more powerful tool that I have used for many years.
I wanted to get to that point, what you just said, because there are people watching this that don't know anything and they don't understand the dynamics and how they work. And I know that I have people from my hometown and small towns watching this show. And that's a great message. That's a great. It really kind of talks about why these things are so important to have, especially our sexuality and how we express it and things like that. It's so important to our identities. All right, so let's get to what the IMO contestants are going to want to know, Master Taíno. What are you looking for? What like when you're going to be sitting at the judging table, you're going to be choosing the next IML. You know what? What do you feel the community needs out of leadership for the next Mr. Leather?
It was interesting because I was very surprised when I got the call.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wait a minute. I am not in the contest circuit. That's not has been part. I have been in IML for 7 years in a row until 2005 when I began with my event, and then I didn't have time to go back. But I never been heavy in contest. Doesn't mean I don't know about contest, and I have give advice to people who get into contest. Uh, but they insisted that they wanted to have my perspective, who I think is going to be very different to maybe to other judges. I don't know. But what I'm looking, uh, I think the most important thing will be authenticity. I
Say it one
want
time. Say it again.
authenticity.
Okay, you got
I
it.
want to see real people presenting themselves like they are. I One of the things that I have had against contests is when people over prepare themselves with clothing and stuff. No. Come to me as you are. Bring me your heart. That's what my mentor taught me 30 years ago. It's about heart. And when my mentor, Master Steve from Bushman, when we met in that event in '99, He saw me in several instances that weekend, and he called me. I didn't went to him. He called me, and it's because he saw my heart, and he wanted to get me under his arm. And I learned a lot from him, and I'm glad he did. But it's about heart. It's about presenting yourself as who you are. The moment that I identify someone pretending, or that will be a bit terror for me. I could tell you that. And
Let them know. Let them know. Be on, like, see, I mean, let them know. Be a real, like, because look, too many of us are doing it for the wrong reasons.
there is something that early in my journey, when I didn't know shit about old guard and new guard and all that stuff, that they people talk about it. Obviously now I know this all bullshit. But anyway, but people ask me, "Are you want to be old guard or new guard?" And I didn't know what they mean because again I was new. But hey, you told me you talked to me, asked me about old and new. I kind of have an idea what you're talking about, and I say no, I don't care about old guard or new guard. This is my guard. I'm going to do my journey with whatever works for me. This is my journey. And one of the things that I also preach a lot in the MS community is that there is no one way to do a relationship of master slave or dominant submissive or daddy boy. Each person brings whatever they have to the relationship. Every relationship is different. Yeah, we could learn from each other. We could, I always say if there is something I do that you like, take it, run with it. But don't do something because I do it if it doesn't work for you, just because I do it. And that's the mistake that a lot of people do. Oh, Master X, do that. I have to do it. No, you do it if it resonates with you, if it works for you, based on who you are and what you want to accomplish. But the relationships are unique. So we are not copycats of each other. We learn from each other. That's for sure. But we have to develop an authentic relationship based on who we are.
So, we're getting close towards the end. This is where I want to go now. And usually I ask everybody this question, like it's like a special or anything like that. But throwing light's about shedding light on things that we don't normally talk about. And it's crazy. We still haven't covered everything, and the amount of times I can go, and I'm hitting new things and stuff like that. But what do you feel is an aspect of our community, the leather community, and the larger LGBTQI plus community at large? What is something that is happening that we're not shedding enough light on, in your opinion?
Um, the thing that worries me more about different segments of the community is when we don't understand each other. For example, I used to say, and this is still happening, and now I think it's better, but some gay people, for example, don't understand leather. But some leather people don't understand BDSM. Some BDSM people don't understand master slave. We are all part of a community, and we all have our kinks, and what we want to do with the leather or our fetishes, our BDSM, whatever. Every person is different, and we have to understand. And when people come and oh, you're not doing it right, or I don't. I remember when I started in the master slave, somebody told me, oh, that's what we can think. No, this is my way of life. This is every day, 24/7 that I live this. So we don't have a big understanding of the different aspects. And the other thing that I am concerned, we have made progress, but it's still we are not where we should be, is the integration with the pansexual community. I understand when I was in the 80s, gay people were the joke of straight people. In the 70s. In the 80s, we were the AIDS joke of straight people. That's not what happened now. I have had dear friends who love me dearly and will give their life for me, who are straight, or female or male. And we have to overcome that thing that, oh, I don't go with to places that female are. There's the energy. No, we could have our own place, but we are a community. In my experience in my conference, the Master Taíno conference, is that straight people come to learn from us, from gay people, because a lot of the presenters are gay. So I would like to see more integration, of more respect, more empathy between each other. I think we are a community, and besides, 25 years ago I played with gay boys. Now I play with everybody and have fun.
That's a great way to end.
And I love to play with the straight guys. It's a special kick.
Well, we're all different. I don't know if I like to play with the straight
Yep.
guys. But okay, Master Taíno, this was such. Let me tell you something. I love doing these because I know when I'm faced with knowledge and understanding and experience, and I appreciate your time coming out here and sharing your story. And I look very forward to coming and hugging you in about 3 weeks in person. I look forward to chatting with you. Master Taíno, so I let my guest now on the show close the show. And so you just have to do something for me. Okay, I'm going to count to three, Master Taíno. And when I count to three, you're going to say, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. Okay?
You are not going live. You're not acting right. I'm very bad for those things.
You just do it. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
I forgot.
If
I'm not good for those things. What was the first one?
if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
If you're not doing live, you're not acting right.
Thank you, Master Taíno. Thank you so much.
And whenever you want me back, I'm here.
For sure. And let's talk about that in a couple of weeks, okay? Because I would love to put a panel together of some things too, okay? It's been an absolute honor, okay? All right, y'all. That's been Throwing Light and El Male TJ Reads, and we're out. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.